Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into the work of Bob Camblin.
Hi.
Just going through the source material, I am really intrigued.
Yeah?
You've got excerpts from his quotes and a biography, talks about the art in Zen and the art of enlightenment.
Hmm.
There's a YouTube analysis of the painting through shattered glass, information about the historical context of his books, and
Mm.
then a really interesting personal reflection from his friend Earl Staley.
Right.
This is going to be fun.
It really is quite a bit of information. And you're right. I think the personal reflection is going to be interesting to see how it all ties together.
Yeah, and I guess our main mission here is to try to unpack
Right.
the core of Camblin's vision. What was he
Yeah.
all about?
Yeah. And he's such an enigmatic figure, right? I mean, widely respected among his peers, but his work's incredibly elusive. You read the bio and you realize this guy worked across so many different mediums: oils, acrylics, watercolors, drawings, prints. He even did painted paper.
Well,
And the few pieces that do surface command, very high prices. I mean,
Yep.
this is a guy who was sought after.
that's right. And what's so great about what we're looking at today is that these are drawings and personal reflections from 1950 to 1974, never intended to be seen.
Right?
So it's like this direct connection to his process.
Exactly. Very raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very raw.
So let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
Where did it all begin for Bob Camblin?
Well, both his parents were artists, so he's kind of born into this world.
Oh, wow.
And as early as high school, he was the art director for his yearbook,
Okay.
which is a pretty good indicator of his artistic leanings already.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's Ponca City, Oklahoma, where he grew up.
Right, and the biography mentions the Marland Estate and the Pioneer Woman statue as big influences.
Absolutely. I mean, the Marlin Estate, this opulent mansion from the oil boom and then its eventual decline,
Yeah.
that must have made an impression. And the Pioneer Woman, this iconic figure, it seems like these seeped into his work.
Yeah, it said there are hidden double V's in some of his paintings referencing the Pioneer Woman and also his mother, Viva Camblin, which I thought was very sweet.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like this personal layer.
Yeah, very personal.
And his friendship with Forrest Harrisberger.
Right.
It sounds like that was a very formative relationship as well.
Absolutely. They met in high school,
Mm-hmm.
then went on to Kansas City Art Institute together,
Hmm.
even ended up being activated for the Korean War at the same time.
Wow.
I mean, you can imagine the bond that creates.
Yeah, to go through something like that together.
Exactly.
And beyond these life events, I mean, it's clear Camblin was a thinker.
Oh, absolutely. A voracious reader. Emerson, the I Ching, and he was really drawn to haiku and haiga.
Now remind me, what's Haiga again?
So haiga is this form of Japanese art. It's usually paired with a haiku poem, and it's really about simple, elegant observations of the everyday world.
Oh, okay. And that simplicity, that focus on the everyday, I mean, you can definitely see echoes of that in Camblin's work.
Oh, for sure. It's about capturing the essence of something, the fleeting moment, and making it timeless.
And then, of course, there's the Fulbright to Italy, a major turning point.
Yeah.
The Uffizi Gallery with all those Renaissance masterpieces.
Right.
And then the Capuchin Catacombs in Palermo
Mm-hmm.
with the preserved bodies. It sounds like a real clash of beauty and mortality.
It really is. And the bio says that the catacombs experience was so powerful for him that he ended up incorporating mummy imagery into his later work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like those images just stuck with him.
And there's the Botticelli connection, too. His Flora, inspired by Primavera,
Oh, yes.
packed with all sorts of hidden imagery. Hearts, electrons, even a red exclamation point.
It's amazing. And Earl Staley even said that Camblin's Flora had a smile that outshone the Mona Lisa.
That's high praise. Okay, so after all these influences, he starts teaching, right?
He does. He held positions at several different institutions.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 1976, he makes this really dramatic decision.
What's that?
He quits teaching altogether to dedicate himself fully to his art. And not only that, he adopts this nomadic lifestyle, traveling all over the place: Italy, France, Ireland, Mexico, even the South Pacific.
So he's basically living his art.
Exactly. He's immersing himself in different cultures, landscapes, drawing inspiration from it all.
And that's what really comes through in the book Zen and the Art of Enlightenment.
Yes, it talks about how his art aimed to connect directly with the soul, sidestepping all the traditional criticism and commercial pressures.
So it's not about the art market, it's about this raw encounter with the viewer.
Right. And that's what makes this collection of drawings so special. It's like getting this unfiltered glimpse into his mind.
Okay, so let's get into a specific piece to really understand his symbolism. What about through shattered glass.
Perfect example. You've got the YouTube analysis and the book description, so we can really piece it together.
So what are we looking at here?
So picture a multi-paned window.
Yeah.
We're on the inside looking out. And through each pane, there's this nighttime urban scene. A red sky, a street lamp, bare trees. You can even see a rooftop in the distance.
And inside?
On the windowsill, there's a potted plant. And it's rendered in incredible detail. You know, every leaf, every stem.
And the bullet hole, right. That's the central element.
Right in the middle of the glass. And through that hole, there's this burst of light, like the moment of impact. It creates this tension immediately, you know, inside versus outside, safety versus threat.
And then you've got the symbolic plants within the main plant, the heart, the skull, and the gold orb.
Yeah, those are key. You know, the heart, love, compassion, emotion, the skull, mortality, the fragility of life, and the gold orb, the spirit, the soul, something that transcends the physical.
I like how the YouTube analysis calls it a trinity of human existence: love, death, and spirit.
It makes sense, right?
Yes.
Those are the big ones we all grapple with. And there are other heart shapes, too.
Oh, right. There's one over water in the background.
Exactly. So even amidst this chaos, this brokenness, love, or life itself persists. It's a powerful message.
And then there are those hidden skulls in the shrubbery outside, too.
Yeah, like these little reminders of death lurking everywhere.
It's all very layered, and I'm also seeing connections to other artists. The way he uses the window to separate inside and outside, it reminds me of Edward Hopper.
Oh, totally. That same sense of isolation, the unknown lurking just beyond the frame.
And the style, the way he combines this realistic plant with the more expressionistic background, it's got a bit of Marc Chagall in it.
I see that. And just like Frida Kahlo, with her personal symbolism, Camblin's using those hearts and skulls to tell his own story.
And that street lamp and the feeling of the city at night, it reminds me of Charles Birchfield, too.
Absolutely. So he's drawing from all these influences, but making it his own. And ultimately, Zen and the art of enlightenment argues that all these symbols are invitations for you to look deeper, to see how this shattered window also reflects our own inner world.
I like that. So let's talk about the Zen interpretation of the painting.
Well, the broken window, it speaks directly to the Zen idea of impermanence. Nothing's fixed. Everything's in flux. And the bullet hole, it's a reminder that suffering is inevitable. But it's often through suffering that we grow.
That's a tough one, but I get it.
And the plant, thriving despite the broken glass, that's wabi-sabi. Finding beauty in imperfection, in the transient nature of things.
Like those Japanese teacups with the cracks.
Exactly. It's not about striving for perfection. It's about accepting things as they are.
The analysis also talks about control versus surrender, which is very Zen.
Right. Are we clinging to control or are we letting go? And when we look through those cracks in the window in our lives, are we seeing fear or something more?
Those are great questions.
They are. Now, the YouTube analysis also ties this painting to hexagram 23 of the I Ching, splitting apart.
I've heard of the I Ching, but I don't know much about it.
So think of it as this ancient system for understanding change, for navigating life's ups and downs. Like the seasons, everything has its cycle. And splitting apart represents decay, disruption, but also transformation, just like the broken window. And the point is, destruction isn't the end, it's just part of the process.
And the plant symbolizes that, right? It's still growing.
Right. The heart over the water, too. It suggests that even when things fall apart, love endures. It's about having faith in the process, even when things are tough.
So it's not just a bleak outlook.
No, it's about recognizing the cycle, the potential for renewal even in breakdown.
And there's a Taoist perspective as well.
Yes, Taoism sees the broken window as a new lens. True vision comes from shattered expectations, from letting go of our rigid ideas of how things should be.
So it's about going with the flow, not against it.
Exactly. Embrace the uncertainty. That's where the real growth happens.
I like that. And the plant itself becomes a metaphor for artistic resilience, right?
Absolutely. It's still thriving, even in this chaotic environment. It's a reminder that creativity can flourish anywhere, even amidst hardship.
So it's a hopeful image in a way.
It is. And if you think about the cracked window as our own personal wounds, the things that shape us, then the cityscape beyond becomes this impersonal modern world. And the plant represents our connection to nature, to something deeper within ourselves.
That makes sense. And the heart, the skull, the spirit, those are the big themes. Love, mortality, and transcendence. It's all there in one image.
It really is. He's packing a lot into this painting.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Camblin's broader philosophy. The book review describes his drawings as paradoxes made visible.
Yes. The reviewer mentions things like a trap that does not trap, a structure that stands but does not move, a disappearing object that was never meant to be lost.
Those are some interesting images.
They are, and they're meant to make you think. They're not just visual tricks. They're exploring these fundamental ideas about existence, about perception.
And he was fascinated by illusion and reality too, right?
Oh, absolutely. He loved playing with those boundaries, with those questions of what's real and what's just our perception, like with the vanishing coin or the self-binding structure. It's all about impermanence, the illusion of control.
And those traps, the book review talks about fear traps, time traps, self-made traps. It sounds almost claustrophobic.
It does. But the point is, these traps are everywhere, whether we see them or not. And they're all telling a story about the people who set them, the people who escape them, and those who just get caught.
And yet some of his works also depict this incredible stillness.
Right, like the bound figure, the bolted down pillar.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is that stillness about being stuck? Or is it about finding a deeper peace, a center?
So it's another paradox.
It is. And it's something he seems to be exploring throughout his work.
Now, for someone so focused on these individual philosophical ideas, it's interesting that Camblin was also such a big believer in collaboration.
I know, right? The biography talks about his partnerships with Earl Staley and Joe Tate. They even formed this group called B&E Productions.
And they did those shows like the tattoo show and the camping show.
Yeah, it sounds like these were more than just exhibitions. They were these whole events, these experiences.
And the fact that he often signed his work as anonymous or anonymous artists, that's a pretty radical statement, isn't it?
It is. It's like he's saying the individual ego isn't important. It's the collective creation that matters.
It's a really interesting approach, especially in the art world, which is so focused on individual genius.
Definitely. And that collaborative spirit continued in his later work with Nancy Giordano, which led to the Muses Volantes style.
Yeah, the bio describes it as using dots and dashes to create these optical illusions.
Right. Very reminiscent of Escher and Dali.
It's about actively engaging the viewer, blurring the lines between reality and illusion.
Exactly. You're not just passively looking at the work, you're participating in creating it with your own perception.
It's like a game, a puzzle.
It is. And speaking of games, the biography also talks about Camblin's fascination with hidden meanings, with embedding secrets within his work.
And the text he uses, it's not always straightforward either.
Right. Sometimes it's a disguise, sometimes it's a clue, and sometimes it might not even be directly related to the drawing. He called these data problems for the viewer to solve.
I like that. He's making us work for it.
He is. The biography even calls it his guerrilla warfare against a culture saturated with images.
Yeah.
He wants us to slow down, to really look, to think critically.
It's like he's saying, don't just consume, engage.
Exactly. And when asked about his goals, he said he wanted to remake Goya in 20th century terms, just like Cézanne wanted to remake Poussin. He embraced ambiguity, leaving space for the viewer to figure things out, to play the game.
So it's not about giving you all the answers. It's about giving you the tools to find your own meaning.
Precisely. And his style, it went through some fascinating shifts, too. The bio traces his journey from social protest art in the early days, with those heavy outlines and flat colors,
Okay.
to the mid-50s, where he started combining social realism with non-objectivity, exploring human symbols, kind of like Cremoni or those Etruscan figurines.
And then Italy happens.
Right, the Fulbright is huge. He's exposed to Byzantine art, medieval architecture, all these masterpieces. And when he comes back, he starts working on these large-scale drawings, meant to be finished pieces, even incorporating corrections and pasted paper as part of the work itself.
I like that, making the process visible.
Yeah, it's like he's saying the journey's as important as the destination.
And the 1960s, what happens then?
The 1960s is when he tries to blend the poetic mood of Hugo van der Goes with the emotional intensity of Goya.
Oh, wow, what a combination.
Right. And even the aging of the paper with those subtle beige tones
Yeah.
becomes part of the work.
That's cool. And the 1970s.
That's when he starts exploring the mystical, trying to capture those subjective states of mind with images of puppets, scarecrows, skulls, murky water. There might even be some influence from writers like Kazantzaki's and Grass there.
I'm sensing a darker turn.
Maybe a bit. And then in the 1980s, it's all about drawing and watercolor with these camouflaged images, almost hidden in plain sight.
Ooh.
You really have to look closely to see them.
It's like he's always pushing the boundaries, always finding new ways to challenge us.
Exactly. And that's what connects his work to this concept of everyday enlightenment, which the book reviews talk about. It's not about sitting on a mountaintop. It's about finding those moments of insight in art, in language, in the ordinary things around us.
So it's about being present, being aware, even in the midst of chaos.
Right. And Camblin's art, with its paradoxes, its hidden meanings, its focus on the impermanent, it becomes a tool for cultivating that awareness.
And it seems like he really made an impact on the people around him. The quotes from his peers really highlight that.
They do. George O. Jackson Jr. talks about how Camblin's art is like stepping into a world of knowledge. Earl Staley says Camblin taught him the fundamentals of drawing and composition, things that stayed with him his whole career.
Penny Serling remembers his constant questioning, his love for debate and collaboration.
Right. And Carolyn Farb talks about how his work, even when it's surprising or strange, is ultimately telling his own story.
And Earl Staley's personal reflection, it's so full of warmth and sadness, too. He talks about their friendship, their collaborations, and then Camblin just disappears from his life.
It is sad. And the way he describes Camblin's final visit, brief, awkward, leaving behind these wondrous works and unanswered questions, it really sums up the mystery of the man.
It does. So, big picture, what are your main takeaways from all this?
I think the key is that Camblin was this incredible blend of influences, from his Oklahoma roots to his time in Italy, from philosophy to those everyday moments he captured in his art. He wasn't afraid to tackle the big questions, love, death, the meaning of it all. And he did it in this playful, enigmatic way, always pushing boundaries, always inviting us to look deeper.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest takeaway is that Camblin wants us to be active participants in the experience of art, not just passive observers, but active seekers of meaning.
Right, to look beyond the surface, to embrace those cracks, the uncertainties, because that's where the real discoveries lie.
Which leads me to a final thought for our listeners. Think about a piece of art you might have dismissed as weird or confusing.
Yeah,
Could there be something more there?
maybe.
Some hidden layer of meaning, some question you haven't considered. Maybe Camblin's work is a reminder that those moments of uncertainty, those cracks in our understanding, are actually opportunities to discover something new.
I think so.
What mystic switch does your encounter with art activate?
That's a good question.
Yeah, think about it.